Hello, beautiful midlife queens. Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Queen podcast. I'm your host, Lorena Vasolo, the Midlife Reinvention Queen, and this is Midlife Unfiltered, Unhinged, and Unapologetic. This is the space where we unhook from all the BS narratives and conditionings about women in midlife, aging, perimenopause, and menopause. And we reclaim ourselves. We reclaim our joy, our desires, our passions, our dreams, and we step into our midlife queen era. Let's get started. I am super excited to share with you today's episode. And it's all about finding love again in midlife. And I'm going to be diving into how I found love again at 45 after a divorce, after starting over in midlife, after becoming a single mom. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story, and I'm going to be talking about the things that really helped me not just survive, but thrive and find love again through divorce and through the transition into getting back out there. So I want to start this episode with my story, with a big truth. And it was, so most women think that finding love after 40, 50, or 60 is either impossible or luck-based or just not meant for you. And that, or that if it hasn't happened yet, that it's never going to happen, or that it's too late, or you're too old, or it's too this, or you're too that. And so many women in midlife feel that romance is for the youth, and that passion and desire is for the young, not for women in midlife. But here's the truth. Love in midlife is not about luck. It's about energy. It's about reclaiming yourself, and it's about redefining what is possible for you in midlife and beyond. And the truth is that love, romance, passion, desire, intimacy, connection, and pleasure are all waiting for you. And midlife is your prime. Midlife is the perfect time to reclaim all that and to experience it. The problem is that most women have spent decades disconnected from their bodies. So we're going to be talking about how to do that in midlife. And so this episode is going to be all about how to reclaim that and what you can do to find love again in midlife and become magnetic to finding love again in your midlife and to experiencing more intimacy, more connection, more passion, more desire, more romance, more pleasure in your life. And I want to start by telling you a little bit about my story and a big truth about what I experienced. I was in a almost 16-year marriage, and it was a long, hard, challenging, toxic marriage. And it took a lot out of me to finally leave that relationship, that marriage. And I was a new mom at the time. I was 42 when I ended my marriage, and I became a single mom to my daughter who had very complex medical needs. And I was broke, bankrupt, and ended up having to move to my sister's basement. So it was a really challenging transition on so many levels, not just because I had finally gotten the courage to end this marriage, but it involved starting over completely, financially, emotionally, mentally, career-wise, on every level, and becoming a single mom and starting over on my own. And when I decided to end my marriage, I really thought that love in the romantic sense was over for me. I was not interested in being with anyone else. I made the very conscious decision to focus solely on my daughter and myself. And this was a key decision I made. And if you're a woman in midlife, whether you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, and you're in the thick of it now, you're either in the middle of your divorce, going through it, or after, or you've been separated, divorced, post breakup for a while, and you're in that process, in the transition of letting go of, you're no longer who you used to be, but you're in the process of becoming who you want to be. I want to tell you that it is really, really important that you use this time as an opportunity to focus on yourself, to nourish yourself, to truly become the priority of your life, to truly reclaim your connection to your body, to your energy, to your own healing, to your own feeling of safety and confidence in yourself, and to really spend time discovering what it is that you truly want at this stage of your life. And this involves giving yourself time, being patient with yourself, and being open to rediscovering and to leaving behind a version of you. Because, what I didn't know back then when it was happening, I was going through it in the thick of it, right? Through my divorce, was that divorce wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one, the one with myself. And so that's what opened the door for me to finding love again at the age of 45. So ever since I made the decision to focus on myself and falling in love with myself again and reclaiming my self-love, my self-worth, creating an environment of connection and pleasure and joy and safety within myself and confidence and freedom within myself to explore my passions, my desires, my pleasure, my own intimate connection to myself, that was a game changer. Because if you're in the thick of it, you will know this, my queen, that divorce cracks you open. It cracks you open in ways that you never anticipated, right? And it takes time. It is a process, and you can't bypass the stages, right? There's going to be stages of deep grief, of letting go, of release, of sadness. It's an ending, right? So you have to let yourself grieve and let go of those parts of you that need to end and die with that process, so that you can create space for the new parts of you that are longing to emerge. And as you honor those stages of loss, grief, you can move on to the next ones where you start to become more self-aware, more confident, more connected, more embodied, more empowered again. And you can start to rediscover and reclaim those parts of yourself that were missing, or that you have been neglecting or ignoring or numbing or repressing. This is the opportunity that divorce brings, or that any breakup or major life change transition brings. Because for years, I defined myself through this relationship that no longer was. And if you've been in a long-term relationship and a marriage and now it's broken, through being you've probably defined yourself also through your relationship a lot, through being that person's partner and that person's support system and that person's anchor. And when that ends, there is a process, there is a time, a period of adjustment where, you feel a little lost, a little out of sorts, a little stripped bare, uncertain, scared, maybe insecure, and this is all normal. So just allow yourself to embrace all those phases of the process, but also know that this process forces you to face yourself and to rebuild yourself. It gives you the opportunity to reimagine who you want to be at this stage of your life. And it gives you the opportunity to rediscover your voice, to rediscover your needs, to rediscover your desires, to rediscover your confidence, to rediscover your joy, to rediscover your passions, to rediscover your pleasure, to rediscover who you are beyond who you used to be. And it gives you the beautiful opportunity to ask yourself, who am I when no one is defining me? Who am I now outside of this relationship? Who am I? Who am I truly? And most importantly, who do I want to be at this stage of your life? This is a beautiful opportunity to rediscover yourself and to reimagine yourself and to redefine yourself and redesign yourself and your life. And another big truth throughout this process for me that I want to share with you, because it will be very helpful, is that I didn't find love again in midlife. I became love again. I fell in love with myself again, because before I could meet anyone else, I had to meet myself again. That's why I said before, give yourself time to be on your own. And yes, you will need a support group. You will need your friends, your family. You will need your girlfriends like never before. You will need a coach, a guide, right? You will need those women who have been where you are and who have walked the path, who have gone through it, and who can help guide you, who can help support you, who can understand you, and who can be there for you through it. And the journey isn't always glamorous. It's not easy. It can be lonely. It can be confronting, but it can also be, and it is absolutely liberating, expanding, expansive, sacred. It's so healing and so empowering. And you will learn how to self-soothe yourself instead of self-abandoned. You will learn how to honor yourself instead of ignore, suppress, and neglect yourself. You will learn how to trust yourself again and how to listen to your intuition again. And you will learn how to create safety in your body again and connection with your body again. Because love, passion, desire, joy, pleasure, all these things that we long for and that we need and we want can't land and can't be received in a body that has been closed up, that is contracted, that is braced for disappointment, that is closed for protection, right? So the more you do embodiment work, the more you do somatic work, the more you do inner work of reconnecting with yourself, of learning how to regulate your nervous system, how to create safety within your own body, how to create connection and intimacy with yourself, the more you will soften, the more you will discover yourself, the more you will open up, the more you will reconnect with your feminine essence, your feminine energy, your feminine fire. This is essential. And the more you soften, the more you open your heart, you open yourself, right? The more you become open to feeling and receiving love. And not from a place of desperation, of neediness or force, of looking for, but from a place of overflow. Because when you start truly loving yourself again and honoring yourself again and giving you opportunities to experience pleasure, passion, desire, joy within yourself, by yourself first and for yourself, without a partner, the more you are in overflow and the more you open up, and the more you open yourself up to being in that frequency of being magnetic and receptive. Remember that pleasure is your life force. For us women, pleasure is not a luxury. Pleasure is not a nice to have. Pleasure is essential. And I'm not just talking about sexual pleasure. Yes, sexual pleasure, our sensuality and our sexual energy is super powerful, and it's related to our life force. Our sexual energy and our pleasure is our life force as feminine beings. And so we have to nourish it, and it has to be at the forefront. So this is all part of reconnecting with yourself and prioritizing, making time and doing things that bring you pleasure, that bring you that life force back and allows it to flow, to feel, to be alive, that turns you on, that turns that inner fire, that spark, that aliveness, that radiance. And, I want to talk about a very powerful energy shift that happened for me because, when I took those almost 2-3 years on my own, focusing on being the best mom that I could, focusing on doing things that reconnected with me, with my body. This led me on. I became a yoga teacher. I became a Reiki master. I became a meditation guide, and I became a somatic life coach for women. And I realized that, for so many years, I had been so in my head. And we are very intelligent, capable women, and we tend to be ruled by our minds, right? And living in our heads. And so we understand what might be wrong, or what we're doing wrong, or what we need, or what we want, or what we don't want. We can analyze our problems and our issues and our trauma and identify it and talk about it till the cows come home. But no matter how much we rationalize it and analyze it and talk about it, if we don't bring the body on board in our process of moving through divorce, moving through this transition and moving forward, if we don't bring our body on board, if we don't incorporate practices, whether it's breath work, movement, somatic practices, somatic therapy, coaching, if we don't incorporate and bring the body on board and bring our nervous system on board and create that safety, we are not going to be able to experience connection and presence within our own body. And so it's going to be impossible to feel that connection and presence with another person, with a partner. So first and foremost, body first, you first, reconnection with yourself first, self-love, embodiment. So if you're a woman going through divorce right now, breakup, that transition and starting over and looking to find love and connection and intimacy in a partner, start with yourself first. And, when I want to talk about, and I'll come back to the shift that I made. And throughout those years, one of the biggest shifts that I made was my relationship with myself. That was the game changer, and how I felt in my own skin, in my body. And I reclaimed my body. I became embodied again. Being embodied means being connected, attuned to your body and feeling safe in your body, safe to feel, safe to express, safe to be my full self, safe to receive. And guilt, shame, work your shame, and you have to work creating inner safety within yourself. And you have to work through shame and guilt and trauma and whatever has been keeping your body from being open and flowing. And I'll come back. And so and why is this so important? And why is this so important? This process of prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your reconnection to yourself and to your body, and prioritizing embodiment, and prioritizing safety in your body, and prioritizing nourishing your feminine energy and reconnecting with your pleasure, your passion, your sensuality, your desires, and your body. Why is this so key? Because most women arrive to midlife after decades of being disconnected from yourself, disconnected from your body, disconnected from your desires, from your pleasure, from your passions, and disconnected from your feminine energy, and living in a dysregulated state. You're frazzled, you're burned out, you've been pushing, living from the neck up, and prioritizing your masculine energy and being driven by high cortisol, adrenaline. And so you are used to living in this autopilot mode where it feels, and so it's important to, and that needs to change. And that needs to change in order for you to be able to feel love again, feel pleasure again, feel intimacy, feel connection again. And another thing that happens is that most women arrive to midlife and have this mindset that finding love in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond is impossible, or it's luck-based, and that if it hasn't happened yet, it's never going to happen. It's too late because you're too old, or you're too this, or you're too that, and that romance and passion and excitement and pleasure is for the youth, and not for a midlife queen, and not for a woman, is for the young, for the youth, not for a woman in midlife. And that is completely not true. That is total BS. That's just mindset. That's just BS conditioning and narratives. The truth is that love in midlife isn't about luck. It's about who you are. It's about your energy, and it's about how attuned you are to yourself. And like I said before, if you've spent decades disconnected from your body, your desires, your passions, your feminine energy, you've been overgiving, overachieving, you've been silencing yourself in the name of being productive, being good, being worthy, being successful. You've followed the rules. You've been in giving and doing and achieving mode. And so you have really suppressed your feminine energy. You have dimmed your radiance. You have dimmed your sensuality. You have repressed your pleasure. You have ignored your passions. You've probably even you may have also been faking orgasms with your partner. And so midlife is calling you to reclaim yourself first and foremost. And divorce and breakup is giving you the opportunity to start over fresh and to reignite, to reclaim yourself, to reignite your pleasure, to reignite your passions, to reignite your magnetism, to reignite your desires, to leave behind the old version of you, the overachieving, the overgiving, the self-sacrificing, the self-abandoning, the people-pleasing good girl, and to step fully into your midlife queen era. Embodied, bold, sensual, feminine, unapologetic, and fully aligned, and fully honoring your needs, your dreams, your passions, your pleasure, your joy, your desires. And the secret to attraction, the secret to being in that frequency of attraction and magnetism in midlife and beyond isn't about chasing love, searching for love, finding love, forcing love. It's about you finally coming home to yourself and reclaiming yourself first. And when you are in that frequency of embodying your feminine energy, of embodying your pleasures and your desires and your passions and your joy and your confidence, and being unapologetically, boldly, and fully you become magnetic. You become irresistible. You become unstoppable. And you naturally attract people, experiences, and love that resonates with your authentic self, with who you truly are in your essence. And this, my beautiful queens, is key, because because it's not about your body shape. It's not about your age. It's not about what you do. It's about who you be. It's about your energy. It's about your presence. It's about your aliveness. And I met the love of my life at 45. And not because I was looking, but because I had softened into myself. I had softened into what I had embodied what I call soft feminine power, my soft feminine energy, my soft feminine radiance. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing weak or submissive about soft feminine energy. It is extremely powerful, extremely magnetic. It is irresistible and unstoppable and limitless. And that's because it is our essence. And when you are anchored and living from your true essence, your feminine fire is unstoppable. And your feminine fire, it allows you to, and so it allows you to learn to receive. I needed to learn to receive. I had learned to, when I met and so this allows you to learn to receive. It allows you to learn to feel pleasure, joy, passion, desire, and in doing so, you become magnetic in a way that you've never been before. And so I want to talk a little bit about and this is how I found, and so when I found the love of my life in midlife at 45, it was not just any love. It was deep, soul level, emotionally safe, wildly alive, fully embodied kind of love. Passionate, romantic, sensual, intimate. And it's the kind of love that makes you feel fully seen, that makes you feel cherished, desired, celebrated, and for exactly who you are now. Not who you used to be, and not who you used to be, and not who you think you should be, for who you truly are. And I want to start, and I want to say this again. You are not too old. You are not too late. And your most beautiful love story is still ahead. I truly believe that, because I know if it's possible for me and it's possible for other of the women I've worked with, it's possible for you too, my queen. So I really want you to embrace this mindset that the best is yet to come. But it begins first and foremost with falling in love with yourself again and reclaiming yourself again and opening yourself up to experience self-love, self-pleasure, right? To experience your own connection to yourself, to your joy, to your dreams, to your passions, to your desires, to your sensual, sexual energy, to your feminine energy. And when I met the love of my life at 45, after heartbreak, after many toxic relationships, after a long toxic marriage, after becoming a single mom, after being, after going through a couple of years of being on my own and focusing on myself and building a life and an identity that really, and, after years of being a version of myself that didn't leave any room for softness or receiving or romance. And I met the love of, and so I want to really remind you that that's the thing about divorce in midlife and starting over in midlife, it will crack you open. But this break, and it will be a breakdown, but that breakdown will turn into your biggest breakthrough, and it will crack you open in ways that you didn't know you needed. And so to attract extraordinary love in this season of your life, you don't need to try harder. You don't need to do more. You need to open deeper. You need to become more and more yourself and become more attuned to your own body, to your own needs, to your own desires, to your own pleasure. And, many of you may think that you don't want love again, or that you're never going to find it. Or maybe you're telling yourself, I'm fine on my own, but that's all coming from a place of disappointment, a place of sadness, a place of fear, or you're feeling like you don't want to go through what you went through. But I want you to trust that if you allow yourself to really step into, if you allow yourself to let go of the version of you, of that identity of who you were, and become this new version of yourself, this new identity that's longing to emerge, that is longing to be met by a partner that is fully worthy and aligned and matches your frequency as an embodied, confident, sensual, powerful, beautiful woman in midlife who owns her pleasure, who owns her needs, who owns her desires, who owns her passions, and who is open to receiving love, open to being cherished, celebrated, devoted to, then you will magnetize the man, the partner that is in that same frequency. And I want you to trust that. Because it's not woo-woo, it's life. It's the law of life. But remember, before that can happen, before you can meet the love of your life in midlife, you need to meet yourself first. And I know that you probably have been carrying, and you're probably carrying in your body and in your mind layers of protection. And so after years you've built, because after years of disappointment or heartbreak, and after divorce, you have years of protecting yourself, right? And you don't want to get hurt again. You don't want to put yourself out there again. But that is part of the process. There will come a moment in your journey where you will have to put yourself out there. And I don't mean that you have to start forcing yourself to go out on dates, but what worked for me, right? Because the idea of going out on dates, it took me like over a year before I was ready to even consider going out, but because I was so working on myself first. And once I felt more confident and connected, I remember my girlfriend saying, come on, let's go. And, what really helped me was to start going out with my girlfriends and start going out and doing things that really I enjoyed and that excited me and that really got my feminine energy fired up and got me in that frequency of feeling like a goddess, a queen, a sexy midlife queen again, right? So I started going out with my girlfriends. We started going dancing because I love dancing. And so this was a great way for me to start getting out because I was with my girlfriends. And so, it felt safe for me to get out there. And I was also in an environment with other people where there were also men. And so I was open to the possibility of, if somebody asked me to dance, and of talking to someone and meeting someone. So I was open. I wasn't looking. It wasn't my priority. My priority was to do things that I wanted to do, that I enjoyed doing. Go out, have fun, go have dinner with my girlfriends, go dancing with my girlfriends, go to an art class or workshop with my girlfriends, go to an event with my girlfriends, go to a concert, do things that were exciting and fun for me without and decentering men. right? My life was not revolving around a man. It was revolving around me, my needs, my desires, my passions, my interests, my wants, my pleasure, and my daughter, of course, first and foremost. But I had decentered men and relationships, and I was feeling full. I was feeling happy and confident, and I wasn't feeling like anything was missing in my life. I was really in a good place. And I said, well, if I meet someone great that really is the person, then I will know. I remember thinking to myself, the universe, God will put in front of me the man that is worthy of being in my world and able to match where I am now, to match the midlife queen energy that I'm living in. And I had gotten to a place where my inner peace and my joy and my well-being were my priority. So if I met someone that wasn't adding to that and that didn't bring at least the same or more, then I don't want to waste my time. I was just fine having a great time by myself, with my daughter, with my girlfriends, and with my family support system. So that is really key. Create a life where you're full. You are full. You are not living from a place of lack. You are not living revolving around, oh, I have to date and find someone. No, there's nothing. Get to that place where your life is so full of the things you love, and you're so full of your life that you will just be happy and be fulfilled and stay open, and you will be in that frequency of overflow. And if you are experiencing joy, experiencing pleasure, doing things that bring you pleasure, right? Make time to pleasure yourself. Make it a priority to rediscover what brings you pleasure, and make time. Have dates with yourself, self-pleasure. And I'm not talking just about, yes, sexual pleasure. Giving yourself orgasms is essential, right? Especially when you are single. You don't need a man to have an orgasm. So please, my beautiful queens, start cultivating and nourishing your pleasure, your sexual pleasure, and and also other things that give you pleasure, that bring you joy, that feel fun, that feel good, that make you feel alive, that make you feel like you, right? Whether it's going dancing, whether it's going to a new class, a new painting class or art class, or taking a trip, or doing something you've never done before, right? This is an opportunity to rediscover what are the things that bring you joy at this stage of your life. What have you always wanted to do? Now is the time to do it. And the more you are in that, and the more you're living in that, and the more you are living that and experiencing that and having the time of your life, you are going to be vibrating at a frequency where you're just radiating. You're radiating feminine energy. You're radiating joy. You're radiating hot. You're radiating pleasure. And when you are in that joyful, pleasureful, fulfilled frequency of feminine fire, feminine overflow, and your pleasure is, and you're giving, and you're prioritizing your pleasure, your needs, your passions, your desires, you are romancing yourself, romancing life. You can't help but be radiant, be magnetic, be irresistible. You can't help but attract a man that is in that frequency. So trust that. Trust that who you become is enough, and who you be is enough to attract who is the man who is going to be worthy, and who is going to be able to truly see you, protect you, desire you, fulfill you, be devoted to you, honor you, and celebrate you for all that you are at this stage of your life and beyond. Trust that, my queen. I know he is out there. He's just waiting for you to magnetize him. And remember, and here's the thing, because when you are in that energy, when you are in this energy of magnetism, and this isn't woo-woo, this is your feminine essence, right? As women, we are sensual, magnetic, powerful beings. We are creatrixes, and we are constantly creating our reality. And so when you're in this energy, something shifts and you stop chasing chemistry and you start choosing connection. Your standards change, right? You upgrade yourself. You upgrade yourself. You upgrade your identity, right? And I call it stepping into your midlife queen identity, your midlife queen era. And when you are in this energy of being a midlife queen who knows her worth, who owns her desires, her passion, her pleasure, you become magnetic. You stop performing for love. You stop performing and you start radiating love. You start radiating that feminine energy. And suddenly you're magnetic. You become, and yes, you become magnetic. You become irresistible. That's what happens when that's what happens when everything is in alignment and in coherence. That's what happens when your inner energy and who you are in your insides, your nervous system, your body, your heart, and your mind and your soul, everything is in alignment. And it says, I am open. I am ready. I am safe. That's when you are in your essence, in your power, in the seat of your feminine power, in your midlife queen throne. And that's when he will feel you. He's not going to go for not the profile picture in your Facebook, not the achievements in your resume. Your essence, your midlife queen energy, your essence, your midlife queen energy. And that's exactly what happened to me. At 45, when I met my husband, there was no game, no performance, no perfect version of me trying to impress him. There was just presence. And when I met my husband, and that's exactly what happened to me. When I met my now husband, we've been together over 7 years now. And when I met him, I was 45 years old and there was no game. There was no performance, no perfect version of me trying to impress him. I was out, and I was in fact out on a date with another gentleman who I had met going out dancing with my girlfriends, and he had invited me to dinner. And I knew the minute we started having dinner and talking that, there was no connection there beyond just the dinner. And so I was honest with him, and I said, look, you're a really nice guy, but I don't think this is not for me. And then he said, okay, well, at least let me take you to this place dancing. There's going to be Latin music, because he knew I'm from Argentina. I'm Latina and I love to dance. And I said, okay, sure. Look, we can go dancing, but nothing beyond that. Okay. And I remember it was a Sunday night, and it was a long weekend. My daughter was with her father, because at that time she would spend some weekends with him. And so after the dinner, I went with this gentleman to this place that was called Fire and Ice. I'll never forget. And when we got to the place, it was packed. And the hostess at the door said, look, we're pretty packed, but if you don't mind sitting at a table with other people, I have some space. And I said, great, no problem, because in my insides, I thought, great, because I don't want to really pursue anything intimate with this gentleman that I'm with. So great, we'll be with other people. It'll be more fun. So when we got to that table, the hostess led us to the table, and she sat me down, in front of who is now my husband. And immediately, we introduced ourselves. We started talking, and he was from Mexico. I'm from Argentina. So we started talking in Spanish immediately, and there was instant connection. And we had a lot of things in common, and it just felt very natural, very organic, and very alive. And that was how I met my now husband at the age of 45. And then he asked me to dance, and, it just took off from there. And fast forward a month later, we were living together, and, it just 7 years later, we are now, this was back in Canada when I met him, and now we live in Mexico. And here's the thing. And it was such a life-changing moment, right? And it felt that way in the moment, right? Not consciously. I didn't say to myself, oh, this is a life-changing moment, but I could feel the intensity of the connection. And so I was really open to exploring that. So, he asked me to, so we kept on talking, and then it was all very natural, very organic, and very alive. And it really felt very intense and powerful, but also very, very calm and very grounded. And I felt so at ease and just being completely myself. And then it turned out, we both dreamt of living by the ocean, by the beach. And so fast forward now, over 7 years later, we are living in Mexico, and I am more in love with him than I've ever been. And our relationship just keeps growing and keeps getting deeper and more beautiful and more aligned and more passionate. And I'm so, so, so grateful because he not also, embraced and because he is also a wonderful stepdad to my daughter. And that was also extremely important for me because obviously when you're a single mom, you have to not just take into account what you want and what you desire, but you have to also take into account, who you're bringing into your daughter's world. So I am so, so grateful. So I'm sharing this with you because I want you to know what's possible. I want you to know that, I didn't meet the love of my life when I was in my 20s or 30s. I met him at the age of 45. And I met him when I had become when I had truly embodied and become that midlife queen energy, when I had truly learned to honor myself, to love myself, and to prioritize myself. And when I had completely decentered men and prioritized my needs, my wants, my desires, my passions. And so I really want to emphasize this, my beautiful queen. When you want to magnetize that partner, that love in your life, stop putting your attention out there and focus on what's happening in here. And that's how you will become aligned, magnetic, radiant, confident, and fulfilled and in overflow from the inside out without needing anyone or anything out there. You are already whole, complete, and full on your own. And in that moment, you become magnetic to attracting that ideal, beautiful love for you that is waiting. So you don't need to, and that's what I want every woman in midlife to know, that you don't need to shrink, you don't need to chase, you don't need to prove, you don't need to transform yourself, you don't need to look younger, prettier, thinner, this or that. You need to return to your essence and your power, to the woman underneath the armor, to the woman underneath the conditioning, and reclaim her and bring her back to life. And if you are a midlife queen out there thinking that maybe it's too late, maybe I missed my chance, maybe I just need to accept what's available, I want to tell you that no, queen, you do not have to settle, but you do have to shift. Because love at this stage of life is not about finding someone to fill a void. It's about finding someone who matches your frequency, who matches your fullness, who matches your desires, who matches your needs, right? Who matches, and it starts with you raising your frequency and raising your standards and saying, I am a woman whose energy says, I know my worth. I am safe to receive love. I am safe to prioritize my pleasure and receive pleasure. I am willing and ready to be adored, to be cherished, to be celebrated, to be honored. And then watch how love meets you there, because the man you desire, that king, that love, the one who is emotionally mature, grounded, present, devoted. He's not looking for perfection. He's looking for presence. He's looking for you. He's looking for the woman who's not in her head trying to control the outcome. He's looking for a woman who's in her body, who is confident in her truth, in her heart, in her needs, in her passions, in her desires, in her sensuality, in her pleasure. So let me remind you some things that you can do to become magnetic to love in midlife, my beautiful queen. If you're wondering where to start, it begins with coming back home to your body, reclaiming safety, pleasure, desire, passion, intimacy, and connection in your own body, with and for yourself first. Learn the language of your body. Notice where she tightens, where she opens, what makes her feel alive, what makes her feel good. That is key. Soften your edges. Soften into your feminine power and essence. Let life support you. Let others help you. Learn to receive without guilt. Reclaim your pleasure. Pleasure isn't a reward. It's your calibration point. It's your life force. The more you allow yourself to feel good, to feel pleasure, to feel joy, the more you attract, the more you open yourself up to receive more and more of it. And trust divine timing. Trust divine timing. There's no rush. You're not too late. You're right on schedule. Love arrives when you're ready to hold it, not when you're desperate to find it. And let me give you some midlife queen codes for finding love, passion, romance, desire, and pleasure in midlife and beyond. These are 3 midlife queen codes that I live by, that I teach inside all my programs to the queens I work with for attracting and sustaining extraordinary love in midlife and beyond. Number 1, safety in your body. You can't call in love if your nervous system is still wired for survival. So safety in your body, when you feel safe in your body, not anxious, not forcing, not contracting, not chasing, when you naturally attract safe energy in return. So you have to feel safety in your body first, so that you can feel, so that you can be present, so that you can feel connected, so that you can be attuned, so that you can listen and feel what you need, what you want. So safety in your body, creating safety in your body first is essential, with somatic tools, practices, nervous system work, breath work, all of those things help. Number 2, self-intimacy and self-pleasure before romantic intimacy with a partner is key. What do I mean by this? You must be deeply intimate with yourself first. Remember how I talked about you must meet yourself first, fall in love with yourself first, romance yourself first. So you must be deeply intimate and connected and know your own desires, your own fears, your own pleasures, your own needs, right? The deeper you go with yourself first, the more aligned you're going to be in your relationships, and the more aligned the men that you attract are going to be. So practice, prioritize self-pleasure, self-intimacy, and creating those moments where you explore, where you discover yourself, where you start to feel safe in feeling, receiving, and experiencing. And number 3 of the Midlife Queen codes for love is pleasure as life force and magnetism. Your pleasure isn't sexual, it's energetic. Pleasure is energy. Pleasure is life force. Pleasure is joy. Pleasure is creativity. Pleasure is laughter. Pleasure is beauty. Pleasure is play. Pleasure is aliveness, radiance. Pleasure is life. So when you are in pleasure, you are in receiving energy. You are in feeling, expressing energy. You're in expansive energy. You are radiating. You are in overflow. You are open, soft, and powerful. And you are magnetic and irresistible. And love flows towards you with ease, right? Because you are emitting that frequency, and the universe will match it. And this is the law. This is one of the universal laws. This isn't a woo-woo. So if you are listening to this, my beautiful queen, right now, I want you to take a moment to close your eyes and breathe with me and land in your body. Let's do a little somatic practice. So I want to leave you with the sensation, the experience in your body to open up that door and activate that frequency today. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, relax your face, and start taking some nice long deep breaths in through the nose, filling up the chest, the belly, and exhaling through the mouth. Let it all out. And just allow yourself to land, to be here, to be present, to tune in to your heart, to your womb, to your body, to this moment, to the here and now. And I want you to remember, my beautiful queen, that love is not something you've missed. Love is not something that you're looking for, that you find out there. Love is something that you're finally becoming. Love is something that you're finally ready for. From a deeper embodiment, from a more truthful place, from a higher frequency, from a new identity. Because you are ready to step into your midlife queen era, where you own your worth, you love yourself, and you don't need to chase love or find love. You need to remember love by coming back home to your body, to your heart, to your joy, to your worth, to your needs, to your pleasure, to your desires, to your passions, and live from that place. Because the moment you do, life starts matching that energy. And love, the kind that's rooted in mutual respect, passion, depth, devotion, connection, intimacy, and truth, becomes inevitable. So I want you to open yourself up to finding love again. So I want you to open yourself up to feeling love in your body, to receiving pleasure, to feeling pleasure. I want you to open yourself up to feeling and receiving love in your body, in every cell of your body. I want you to open up and soften up with each breath and feel safe in receiving and feeling pleasure in your body, in every cell of your body. I want you to open up to feeling and receiving desire and passion in your body, with every cell of your body, with every part of your being. And remember, you are not too late for love. You are right on time for the kind of love that meets your expansion, that meets your frequency, that meets your midlife queen identity, the one that holds you, the one that ignites your body and grounds your soul, the one that feels like peace and fire all at once. And it starts, as always, with you, my beautiful queen. You are the love story you've been waiting for. And I know that you're ready to receive and welcome into your life that partner, that man, that love that is ready to match who you are, that is ready to honor you, to cherish you, to be devoted to you, to honor you, to celebrate you. And this will be the most intentional, deeply fulfilling, beautiful, empowering, magical, romantic, passionate, and beautiful love you've ever experienced. And I truly believe that it's waiting for you. And I want to leave you with that feeling of openness, in overflowing, that feeling of overflowing, ready to receive, open to receive and to feel And remember, you are the protagonist. You are the star of your midlife, of your movie, the movie that is your midlife, my beautiful queen. And remember, my beautiful midlife queen, you are the star. You are the love story you've been waiting for. So I'm going to leave you with that for this episode. I am so grateful for you to have joined me for this episode and sharing my story of finding and meeting the love of my life, and sharing my story of meeting the love of my life at 45. And I hope this episode served you, helped you, inspired you, moved you, activated you. And let me know if you enjoyed it. Share it, subscribe, send it to a midlife queen who needs to hear it. And let me know in the comments how this episode touched you, what takeaways and biggest takeaways, and what are some of your biggest takeaways. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, my beautiful queens, I will see you next week for another episode of the Midlife Queen Reinvention Podcast. And as always, crown on and rock on, my beautiful queens. Sending you so much love. Mwah.